Athena, guide me!
Begin.
Hello there, this is Emmett Watkins Jr. back again with another review, or maybe, I don't know what I'm going to call this one. It's definitely not about games, which is abnormal for this channel. It's actually about a movie. I recently saw Wonder Woman a couple nights ago, and I want to talk to y'all about it. You guys know Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman film in existence that I know of, the first live-action one anyway. You got Gal Gadot starring in the main role. You got Chris Pine and a couple other notable actors that I can't think of right now, but they're notable apparently if they're in this movie. Because I did, in fact, enjoy this movie, which I know is very surprising, seeing that this is a DC Universe film. A lot of the films in the DC Universe haven't been that amazing. I know specifically Man of Steel I saw a long time ago, but I really couldn't remember or tell you anything about it. Most of that movie was just very forgettable for me. Batman vs Superman is still pretty fresh in my mind, and I remember that film. It was way too serious, no levity in it at all. By the end of it, I was laughing at some of the more, they were meant to be heavy emotional scenes, but spoilers for Batman vs Superman. But by the time that, if you haven't seen the movie, Superman dies. And so, that whole scene where they were all crying about his death and everything, and then how Superman's mom comes in and gives Lois Lane the ring he was going to propose to her with. When I saw that ring, I literally was laughing in the theater. It was just so hard to take that movie seriously. But yeah, I saw that movie and it was over, and it had a pretty obvious twist at the very end, which is, they made the death and return of Superman is really sums up the twist at the end of Batman vs Superman. So that movie I had a lot of problems with. It was just very lackluster in a lot of ways, even though I love Ben Affleck's Batman, and I loved even more Wonder Woman in the movie. And then you had Suicide Squad that came out many months later. I saw that one as well. Suicide Squad was, that one was kind of strange, because I didn't hate it as much as everyone else did. I'm a big Will Smith fan, so Will Smith just got to be Will Smith in this movie. But this one was really trying hard to get you to like it. Batman vs Superman was very self-serious. Suicide Squad wasn't self-serious. It didn't take itself seriously, I should be saying. But you could clearly see that it wanted you to like it. It wanted to be the fun movie, the action, comedy, wacky type thing. It was really, really, really trying hard. And even though I fairly enjoyed the movie, there were some inconsistencies, like it had to keep up some of the darker tones of the DC universe. Like, for example, when Viola Davis's character, when she finally gets, scooped up by the Suicide Squad somewhere near the middle of the movie, she just kills her entire staff just because they've seen too much. That's really hardcore. That just seemed really out of character for her. She seemed harsh, but not that harsh. So I'm just like, holy hell, she's ruthless. And there were some other character flaws here. I liked the Deadshot that Will Smith portrayed. It brought a little bit of heart into the character, but it did seem kind of off, seeing as no other. It didn't look like any of the other characters had something to protect, something to quote unquote fight for. I liked Harley Quinn, even though her whole thing between herself and the Joker just seemed a little off as well. I like the relationship, but the fact that her whole defining trait was, her and the Joker are in love, but that's an abusive relationship, so why are you happy about it, but she can't see it because he's manipulative, and it just felt a little off. Overall, I enjoyed a lot of the humor, I enjoyed a lot of the action, but from a storytelling standpoint, and then the Joker itself, people have had problems with the Joker. I didn't hate it, except for some of the scenes, like specifically the scene where they were in that club and it was a gold room and Harley Quinn was dancing behind the glass thing, and they bring her out, and then Common's in it, and Common's like, yo, I don't want to mess with your girl. Oh, that scene was cringy. Okay, the more I think about it, the more problems I have with the movie. But I thought it was better than Batman vs Superman, so, that's saying something. That led us to this film right here, Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman, I really, really enjoyed. And the main reason I enjoyed it is because it has what the last two films lacked. This film had a lot of heart in it. It made you care about the characters. It took time with the characters, actually. It didn't, Batman vs. Superman, you get the Batman story shoved into your face all over again with the death of his parents and everything. And it just felt like, oh, we're shoving all this stuff in again. And in Superman, it's like, oh, you better remember the last movie. And that was a weird origin story type thing. Even with Suicide Squad, a lot of those villains, it's their first time being portrayed in the big screen. So they had to shove in a lot of backstory, especially with Deadshot. They had to make you care about his daughter really, really quickly. And it kind of felt awkward. Here, this is, once again, another superhero origin story. But it's not just, you don't just love Wonder Woman because you got to see her grow up and everything, even though her growing up phase is very quick. You also care about Chris Pine's character. You also care about the little ragtag group that they settle up near the end of the movie. Oh, this is going to be spoilers for Wonder Woman, by the way, because I'm just going to go off. Yeah, you care about all these characters because they show multiple sides of their personalities. I know there's this one character who's like a alcoholic and he's also a sniper. And then sometimes he can't snipe because he's like haunted by ghosts or whatever, as they say in the film. And then, they cut to another scene where he's, singing for apparently the first time in many years. And it's aspects like that where each of the characters seem more three-dimensional than a lot of the characters in the other DC films up to this point. DC Universe films, I should be saying. And it was very refreshing. And also with Wonder Woman herself, I loved how she was so positive. If you take a look at the other DC cinematic universe heroes we've been introduced to so far, you got Superman, who it seems like Superman, his power is a burden. Everyone shits on him because he is so powerful. They fear his corruption, so that just weighs on him the whole time. And plus, of course, protecting Lois Lane as well. That just weighs on him heavy. Same thing with Batman. Batman's all grizzled. He's been doing this forever. He's seen a lot of shit. Wonder Woman's character is so joyously optimistic about everything. And it leads to a lot of fish out of water comedy, which is, obvious in the first parts of the movie. But she's just so gleefully innocent in that she hasn't been touched by the horrors of mankind quite yet. And in fact, at the end of the movie, that's kind of revealed to her more or less. But it's just so cool seeing her interact with all these characters and just saying, oh man, what's marriage? Ooh, look, a baby, it's so nice. Oh man. So it's it's almost as if she's like a happy idiot role, but she clearly shows a million times that she's not the happy idiot. She has all this optimism, but she's also smart as a whip. She knows more languages than damn near everybody else in the room at any given moment in time, because all they did on the island was just read. So yeah, it was really cool seeing her in that role. And even it even exempted itself in some of the action scenes, and some of the action scenes are set off because of her very aggressive will to want to do good and want to do the right thing. Specifically when they're in the trenches and then they, assault on the front and save that town near the second half of the film. That's really where, Diana gets out in her suit and everything and really gets going. That scene was really good. Just the whole idea of she could never do it alone. I like how it was a superhero movie, but even though Wonder Woman had insane power, it took assistance from her team to get her to the point where she was all powerful. She really had just a small amount of power in the early parts of the film, and then at the end it kind of explodes and she turns into the flying, crazy, overpowered being she is now. So I really appreciate that. I like Chris Pine's character because he was a good complement to Gal Gadot's personality in this movie. He was able to, say the right, not really even trying to be funny, but he played up a lot of the humor in this movie. It was very dry, as far as I'd say from him, or I don't know, sarcastic. He would just say he'd had the right quip as a response for everything Wonder Woman would say, and that was really cool. And I really just like this movie. It was just an optimistic superhero movie from DC, which is not something we've seen ever. Like even the Nolan Batman movies, you know, as much as I love those movies, those are really dark depictions of Batman. And those dark depictions of the superheroes have pretty much continued on throughout all of the DC Universe films until now. Diana's whole thing is, you know, these humans are corrupted, they are good, and then towards the end of the movie, she realizes that, oh, these humans are corrupted. They're choosing to do evil because, you know, of course, the movie takes place in World War One. They're choosing to do this evil. They're choosing to hurt all these innocent lives. But she's also made aware that people also have the capability of doing good things as well. So that's really the main twist of this movie, and a really smart way to incorporate this aspect into Wonder Woman's character. Because, you know, as far as I've seen of Wonder Woman in the couple years I've known about her, a big part of her personality, a big part of her character is the whole, you know, the power of love conquers all and everything. She's like super positive, and they were able to implement that into this new movie in a way that didn't really seem corny. It didn't seem corny to me. It, like, out of context, I can imagine it was corny, but if you look at the entire film where she's fighting with this back and forth, or at least, you know, learning about this back and forth throughout the film, when it's finally revealed at the end, it's kind of like, oh, that's nice. And plus, you know, if you look at the climate of the world, or at least our country today, that's a very needed and appropriate message. The idea that, you know, there's good in everybody, there's bad in everybody, and you make a choice to appeal to either side of your nature. I thought that was really brilliant. So yeah, Wonder Woman, it's a really, really, really good movie. Definitely my favorite DC Universe movie of all time. And that aspect of, you know, love being her defining trait and defining power, I guess you could say. I really like that aspect. That aspect alone almost pushes this movie over the edge to maybe become my best or my favorite superhero movie since the first Avengers. I know that's a lofty thing to say, but I really did enjoy this. I actually cried towards the end when she was realizing, oh man, everyone has a choice. Everyone has the choice to be good. I really hammered that home a lot because it was good. And plus, you know, what happens to Chris Pine's character towards the end was, I don't think that specifically got me too much sad. It was just the Wonder Woman's reaction to what happens to Chris Pine is what really got me. So that brought out a lot of emotion. There was a lot of emotion brought out towards the end. But yeah, the movie's great. Things that I would maybe say I didn't like quite as much. The final fight where they just, you know, Wonder Woman's brother, God, I forgot the name of it's the God of War. When the God of War is revealed, and it happens to be just some random character that you guys saw earlier in the film. It's not a random character, but it didn't feel like it was a big twist, because by the time that character reveals himself as the ultimate villain, you're like, oh, I forgot you were in this movie. Because you don't see him for a while. So it's just very, I don't know. It's just very odd how that character reveals himself. But they had to do it. A lot of these DC movies have to have their final battle where everything blows up and everything gets crazy. So that was their excuse for a final battle. It was very exciting to watch, but just the setup felt a little bit off. But I did like the element of where she thought she was supposed to kill Ares, the God of War, and then she thought Ares was one guy, kills him, and they're still going on. And then that's when she realizes all these things about mankind, about how it's way more complicated than just they're being corrupted by evil because they are good. It's way more complicated than that. And I appreciated that. I would have liked... the movie really didn't need it because they did plenty of this in Batman vs. Superman and plenty more of this in Suicide Squad. But I kind of would have liked a little bit more tie-in into the other movies in the DC universe, because this movie kind of ended. It starts in modern day, and then pretty much the entire movie is just a flashback, and then it goes back to modern day. The only glimpses you get into the broader universe is her emailing Bruce Wayne, Batman of course, and he sends her the photograph that they took at their battle way back in World War One. But other than that, I can't really tell you of anything else. It doesn't seem like there's much connection. This movie really does sit on its own, and I appreciate that, but I also would have liked a little bit more tie-in because that kind of would have been icing on the cake. But yeah, that's really all I can say about this movie. Just go watch it. I feel like I talk a lot better about games and stuff and music reviews and stuff, but I like this movie enough that I felt I should get on here, make a video, talk about it. And yeah, you're watching Injustice 1 because I don't have Injustice 2 because I'm broke AF. Well, not really, but I need to use my money for other things. Winky wink. Texas, what's up? I'm going to Texas later. I live in Georgia, so that's what's up. Anyway, that's the end of this video. I'm just rambling at this point. Yeah, go watch Wonder Woman. It's in theaters now. I saw it on opening night. And y'all have a swell day. And remember, love conquers all. Adios.